Howdy, folks. I'm Brian, dear.
I'm Amber, dear.
And here's some Reddit. As you can see, we're on our series of Snapchat filters, and we'll, of course, be done with them after this week, but hopefully you're enjoying them for now.
Yes, we've got another fun one planned for tomorrow, so it involves more makeup for Brian, I believe.
Yes. So, happy Friday, Junior, of
Yes,
course.
happy Friday, Junior. I guess it would also be Christmas Eve, Junior.
Yeah, it's gonna be Christmas Eve, Junior. Wait, it's tomorrow. Wait, it's Friday.
Friday's Christmas Eve.
Friday's Christmas Eve. Well, no, then Friday Junior is Friday
It's,
Christmas Eve Junior. Oh no, you're right. It is Christmas Eve Junior.
yeah.
I get what you're saying now. I get what you're throwing. Let's get started. Am I a jerk for not allowing my ex-mother-in-law to have a key to my house? You might ask yourself, why would your ex-mother-in-law have a key to your house? Well, dear viewer, we're about to find out. So, me and my ex have been separated for 2 years. We separated on good terms and we get on well despite our differences. We do have a 3-year-old daughter and he works a lot, so he doesn't have our daughter often. For this reason, I gave him a spare key to our house so that he could pop in and see us whenever he wanted. I completely trusted him with this key. For context, I've never had a good relationship with my ex's mother. She has always hated me and accused me of ruining her son's life by getting pregnant so young. I was 18. She hates me so much that when I was pregnant with our daughter, she threatened to take me to court to gain full custody of my daughter. When I found this out, I was of course furious and I did confront her. They were empty threats, and honestly, I think that she knew that she was fighting a lost battle. She despises me, and honestly, I'm not her biggest fan either. I haven't interacted with her much since I left, except from the fortnightly visits where I take my daughter to their house. Well, my ex has been coming over to the house as usual, but has not been using his key. At first, I thought nothing of this, but it became more frequently, and so I said, if you're not going to use a key, I'll just have it back. He then informed me that his mother had asked for the key so that she had access to the house to see her granddaughter whenever she wanted. He told me he agreed. I don't think that was part of the terms.
No.
I lost my temper completely. After everything I've gone through in the past, I absolutely had no idea why he thought it would be a good idea to give his deranged mother my key. I told him I wanted it back immediately and that I no longer wanted him to have keys. He's furious at me, saying his mother is in pieces as all she wants is to know that she can see her granddaughter whenever she pleases.
That's not how being a grandparent
Uh,
works.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly what she. Why did she think that was even acceptable? We'll get to it in a second. I told him that was no way realistic, and that if she wanted to spend time with my daughter, she could message or call, and I'd bring her over with me there also. This wasn't good enough, and now him and his family are not speaking to me. Am I the jerk? Well, it sounds like that problem resolved itself if they're
Yeah.
not speaking to her. Edit, my ex only had one key as he would come around dinner and having to leave the stove or stop doing chores, etc. Every day became very tedious and it was simply convenient for him to carry a key. It was a very minor inconvenience, but it made my day-to-day life slightly easier. My child was never left alone. Update, locksmith has been called. Glad I'm not going insane. Thank you all. That was my first bit of advice. OP, change your locks.
Yeah. So I'm going to say OP is definitely not the jerk here.
Yeah.
Like, OP is the primary custodial parent here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that means that she has a lot of say. And I mean, it's not reasonable for anyone to be able to just enter your house whenever they please and see your kid whenever they please.
Well, and that's the weird thing about this situation, It's like the mother, for whatever reason, thought that she could just have supervised access to the child. Or maybe not even unsupervised, but like, what was she thinking? Like, she knows she doesn't get along with OP. Was she just gonna
Right.
drop in there one day and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm seeing my kid. Seeing your kid."
Right. Like, OP is not going to leave the kid alone. So, like, But this makes me think that like maybe she's like creeping in their house at night or something to see the kid. I don't know. Like
Standing over her bed, watching over the
yeah,
child.
like there's no good answer here. And like again, she wants unrestricted access to the kid. She doesn't get that. She's not the parent. She
Yeah.
has to work with OP. And
Yeah.
I know she doesn't like OP, but like if you want to see your grandkid, you got to deal.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's like I can understand her wanting to see her grandchild, but OP said, well, I mean, all she has to do is give me a call, and I'll bite the bullet, and I'll come over there and spend time, with her.
Right. And it sounds like she just wants access to the child without OP, and that's not how it works.
No, no one. I think no one would look at the situation and be like, oh, this is perfectly reasonable. And I mean, the thing is this: even if OP got the key back, there's no guarantee that
She
there
didn't
wouldn't be a
copy the
copy
key.
or duplicate. Exactly. And that's the trouble with a situation like this is that like keys are easy to duplicate. So OP really needs to have those locks changed.
And that there is one kind of thing that concerns me more than anything thinking on it now is like since she did threaten for custody before,
Oh, yeah.
maybe she wanted the key so she could like take the kid
So that she could plant illicit substances throughout the house and then be like, my daughter's using illicit
or even
substances.
just take the key. Like it could be a big or take the kid. Like it
Yeah,
could,
yeah, yeah.
but whatever the situation is, like it's not good to have someone you don't get along with having access to your house and your child.
Yeah, someone who's threatened in the past to
Right, to take
take your
your kid.
child too. Like that's actually a really good point. I mean, I hadn't thought about that, and I mean, she might actually have like malicious intents here. Why
Yeah.
else would she want a key? And it sounds like the she's had this key for quite a
Right.
while.
And she's probably sitting on it. Like, because if she's not, unless she's going into the house at night and watching the kid, she's not using it because
Yeah,
Opie hasn't seen her in the house.
exactly. And I mean, it would stand to reason Opie would see the daughter at some point in time. I mean, it could also be that like during the daytime, Opie leaves and like the daughter has a babysitter or something like that. But I mean, that would be still like a weird situation. Like the babysitter, I'm sure, would say something about, oh, the mother coming over to the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does not sound like a good situation. Does not give me warm fuzzies.
Yeah, agreed.
0 out of 10 would not do again. Would not recommend.
Yes. Our next story is am I the jerk for giving my husband only 3 days to return my jewelry set that he gave his brother's wife as a wedding gift?
Do we need to read any more than that?
We don't, but we will. I'm a 36-year-old female and I have always been into jewelry. I used to own a variety of jewelry sets, but due to unfortunate circumstances, most of them had to go so I could afford rent after I lost my job. My husband hasn't gotten lucky enough to land a job since 2013. Thankfully, I now have a stable job that gets us by from month to month. I also kept one set of jewelry which is the most valuable whether monetarily and or sentimentally since it's a family heirloom. The set includes a pair of earrings, a bracelet, and a necklace. All gold material, and again, they are worth a decent amount of money. My brother in law has been with his girlfriend for 10 years and they recently got married. It was a huge deal for the family. My husband wanted to get them a decent wedding gift and tried borrowing money from friends and neighbors but got turned down. He kept stressing about it for weeks, and just the other day, the wedding day was prior and the groom and bride are off on their honeymoon, I discovered that my jewelry set was gone. I freaked out after my husband nonchalantly said he gifted it to his brother's wife as a wedding gift. I was fuming. I asked how could he, and he replied that he had no money and nothing of value to give the newlyweds, and besides, that set had been sitting in the closet since July 2019, and I never wore any piece of it, so he figured I'd forgotten about it, but he said he'll figure a way to pay me or get me a similar set once he starts working. But I very loudly told him absolutely not and gave him 3 days, just 3 days, to return the set or I'll stop paying for everything in the apartment. He looked puzzled, like he couldn't believe I was serious. He said he doesn't want to cause an issue, but I said it's already there, and if he doesn't want issues, all he has to do is contact his brother or his wife and retrieve the set or go get it himself. He tried to twist the argument and offer the same solutions as mentioned above, but I refused. I said I just want my set back, and he has 3 days only. He kept talking about how tasteless and disrespectful it would be for him to retrieve a wedding gift. But how tasteful and disrespectful is it to steal
Steal
from your
someone's
wife?
property.
And that said this will damage his relationship with his brother and family, and also how impossible it was to retrieve the set in 3 days when the couple are on their honeymoon in another country. Am I the jerk for this? He said I was financially abusing him by threatening to stop paying for anything, knowing I'm the breadwinner. Also, he refused to give me their new contact info to retrieve the set myself. I'm gonna say OP is not the gift of their jerk. Yeah. Well, he hasn't worked since
What?
2013, so that's a
What? He hasn't been lucky, OP? OP. There's a labor shortage right now. He can find a job to work. What? Are you serious? He's not been lucky enough to find a job since 2013. He's not trying to find a job.
and he probably like OP's paying the bills. If he doesn't have to pay for things, then he
Yeah.
may just not care about
Your
finding a job.
husband is a mooch and he's a thief.
Right. Like this is not like it's not like if someone's dependent on you, you can never leave them.
Yeah,
Or there'd be
yeah.
financial abuse and never cut them off. Or like he stole your property.
Yeah.
You've been covering him for years. You've been paying for everything for years. You are well within your rights to just stop paying
Yeah.
for the things.
There's no question here that OP's not the jerk in this situation. Like, you literally are like, look, I mean, just be like, you got 3 days. Okay, fine, you're right. This would be financial abuse. You've got 3 days where I'm divorcing you and kicking you out on the street.
Yeah, like yeah.
You're already paying for everything, OP. This isn't gonna hurt you to kick him out of the house.
And if he's refused to give you their
Oh,
contact.
wait, and one more thing. Sorry, I hate to interrupt. Say, you've got 3 days to get the stuff back, and then I'm getting a divorce, and I'm calling the police.
Yeah, so I was gonna say you could also if you have any of his family on social media, you might
Yeah.
be able to. Because my worry is he's waiting until too much time has passed. Like it may be hard to access the couple in the interim,
Yeah.
but if you can contact someone else in the family and let them know about the stolen gift, if you feel like there's someone you can trust,
Yeah.
and you can also go the blast him on social media route. Like if he remains unreceptive to this, and then like your threat of not paying the bills doesn't shake him,
Yeah.
blast him on social media. The couple will feel so guilty about being gifted a stolen wedding set that they will probably just return it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think if I, if I were in their position and knew that something was given to us that was stolen, that I would be like, oh, no, I'm just returning this. I don't need this drama in my life.
So don't listen to him. Like, yeah, after the 3 days up, if he hasn't gotten it, you're well within your right to stop paying for his stuff. But also,
call the police.
Yeah, and
go on the social media.
Yeah, there are ways to get the jewelry back. Don't let him get away with this.
Yeah, he has no right to steal your property and to be like, oh, but it's no big deal. I was just going to get you something similar when I finally get a job after
these are
a decade of not working.
It's empty. He's never going to pay you back for anything. You're never going to see that jewelry again if you don't do something. So yeah, stick to your guns. And
also, even after all this, tell him to go get a job.
Yeah.
Do something. Hopefully you're not also doing like the labor around the house.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for this. I mean, this guy just goes around stealing her stuff to give to people. So,
like, if you really he could have started working a job in the months leading up to the wedding and just
instead of
saved
like begging
for
people for money.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's probably like if he can't borrow from anyone, he's unreliable.
Yeah, like everyone knows he can't pay them back, and this is why they're not loaning him money. So, yeah. Ridiculous. Absurd. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for ordering meals for my children when we go out with friends? My husband and I have 2 children, 19 and 17. We go out with friends, 2 other couples, every other week. Then, on weeks that we do not go out with them, we have a date night and then a family dinner out. We always get separate checks, so each couple pays for their own food and drinks. We find it's just easier to do it this way. On the weeks that we do not take the kids or ask if they can come in, the 19-year-old, since they work, we always have them look at the menus to see if they want us to order something and bring it home. We have been doing this for the last 5 years, since the kids were old enough not to need a babysitter, and it has never been an issue until now. The only time we do not order anything for them is when we have plans after dinner, such as a concert or movies. A new couple joined our group for dinner. They are friends of another couple that we go out with, and we have never met them prior to Saturday night. We decided on sushi for dinner, so we showed both of our kids the menu online and asked if they wanted us to pick them up anything to bring home. They each decided on 2 rolls. At the end of the meal, my husband ordered the rolls for the kids and let the server know that they were for takeout and for them to put it on our check. The wife of the new couple got a little huffy and told us it was rude to order more food when everyone else was getting ready to leave, and basically said it was trashy of us to get doggy bags for our kids when none of the other couples had done this. My husband told her that we do this all the time and that if they wanted to leave, nothing is stopping them from doing that. The next day, I got a text from my friend saying that this new couple did not enjoy going out with us and that we embarrassed them, the new couple, not our friends, at the restaurant by ordering the takeout for our children. I asked my friend if they had a problem with us doing that as they had never said anything to us before, and she said no. But she does not want fighting within the group, so she asked us not to take out any more for the kids if this couple was going to be at dinner with us. I told my friend that this was rude to ask us to do this, especially considering that we've always done it without issue, and that maybe we just did not need to go with them when they dined out with this other couple since they did not like being around us. Am I the jerk for ordering takeout food for our kids when we dine out with our friends?
Not the jerk.
This is like if you go, you can sometimes order like a box food from a restaurant, and so if you order it and they prepare it and you can just take it out. A lot of restaurants do takeout nowadays, right? Even if they aren't like, or even if they're traditionally a sit-down restaurant, you can still do their takeout. As long as this isn't like an inconvenience for the restaurant and they don't have like a objection to this, I don't see any problem with that at all.
Right, and it seems like the restaurants are fine with this. Like they've been doing this for 5 years, and so I don't see anything wrong with wanting to get some food for your kids. I
Yeah.
think the other couple may not like it because they feel guilty that they didn't get anything for their kids, but
Well,
that's
maybe,
on
yeah.
them if that's what they're feeling.
Like, and nothing's stopping them from going ahead and ordering for their kids. And it's not like OP and his wife are going to go and tattle on them to their kids or anything like
Right.
that. Being like, well, we bought our kids, food. Why didn't you buy your kids food?
Yeah, well, they may feel like social pressure, like, oh, well, we're gonna look bad if we don't buy food for our kids, but we don't want to because this is our night out.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really nice of Opie and his wife to buy some takeout for the
I
kids,
think it's very
or
considerate.
Opie and her husband, I mean.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it's very considerate. It's a nice gesture. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, again, they're not like doing this to hang like everyone else up or anything like that. They do it at the end of the meal when and people presumably can just leave on their own at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like,
So,
nothing's keeping them tethered to the table. Like, if they've already paid their check,
yeah.
then, you don't have to stick around while the food comes. So, I don't know. I think that this new group just, maybe they don't mesh well. Maybe
Or they
they
don't
are.
mesh well. It's possible they were
And
just looking for something to
yeah,
pick at.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like they just didn't enjoy it. Maybe they didn't like the couple for one reason or another, and they're just looking for an excuse to be, mean to them.
Yeah, and I think this whole like, well, you need to not do this for the sake of group harmony is a really bad approach. I think
Yeah,
OP's solution, well, okay, we just won't eat with them is a perfectly fine
yeah,
response to
yeah,
that. Like because this other couple is the one who is being rude. It's not OP and trying to make OP and her husband like squash this nice gesture they do for their kids in the
yeah.
sake of group. So many times when people want to do things for the sake of group harmony, it feels like they ask people unreasonable asks to try and like make things like go more smoothly and like you don't have to like abide by those.
I mean, I think like there's some level of like give and take in group harmony.
Certainly.
And but in this particular case, this isn't harming the group. This isn't like doing anything to cause any kind of distress. It's just them ordering food at the end of the meal.
Point I was trying to make is that group harmony is not necessarily a good reason when people are making asks of you.
A good reason on its own. Yeah.
Yeah. Our last story is, am I the jerk for telling my dad his book doesn't exist? My dad bullied me for reading growing up. If I spent hours in my room at a time working on homework, he complained that I wasn't out in the yard like he was, or playing sports. Even when I became an adult, my dad made fun of me for reading. I asked him if he reads. He got upset and laughed and said, "Read? Everything I need to know is on the news. Fox News." We are all on vacation as a family, and they saw that I had a book on the table near the sofa I'm sleeping on while they get the beds. My stepmom asks what it's about. I begin to respond and my dad interrupts, asking if I did the thing yet. I asked, do you mean met with the editor? I did have a con. He interrupted me again and said, it isn't about me, is it? I said, no, it's about. Then he interrupted again. People always tell me I should write a book. My life is so interesting. They say I should write a book. I bet people would read it. People always say I had an interesting life. My stepmom nodded and said, it's true. I got frustrated and said, but your book doesn't exist. Hating your autistic son doesn't make you interesting. They both got angry with me, but I wanted to say more. Am I the jerk? No.
I think what this is conveying here is that OP wrote a book and that they're meeting with an editor
Yeah,
about the
I think
book. And
so.
that the dad is so kind of narcissistic and self-centered that
He
he automatically
assumes it's about
assumed,
him.
yeah. And I think that it just seems like an unfortunate situation for OP. It sounds like the his parents are kind of rude people, at least his father and stepmother. And I feel bad for OP.
Yeah. I mean, like, your kids are not your mini-me's, and this is something we see way too often in the subreddit is parents who want their kids to be their mini-me's, and then when the kids turn out to have different interests, they put them down
Yeah.
and insult them, and this is just more of that. Like, it sounds like Opie's dad is very self-centered.
Yeah.
He assumes the book is about him, and then like, oh yes, I should so write a book about my life because it's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, and then not even he doesn't even care about what OP's book is,
Exactly. Like he
you
shuts
know.
down OP's conversations. OP can't even get a word in
Yeah, yeah.
edgewise.
So, I think it's just an unfortunate situation for OP. I think that these people you made if you've written a book and you're publishing it and you've got an editor and everything like that, that's a huge accomplishment. So, really good on you, OP. And I keep writing and keep producing.
Yeah, exactly. As someone who has written a book, that is which is hopefully going to be submitted here soon. That is a huge accomplishment.
Mhm.
Like, and so, don't let your dad get you down. And it's you're right within your right to be frustrated at him for always putting down your insults and then saying in the same breath, "Oh, I should write a book," as
Yeah.
if like that would make a book worth reading. Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's about me, that's the only book that matters.
Yeah, well, the thing is that maybe this guy is an interesting person and maybe he could write a book and it would be an interesting book to read, but he hasn't done it.
He
you
has
know,
it.
and if he really feels like he should write a book about himself, then maybe he should go out and write it.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of just talking about it.
Yeah, he talks a big game, but he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Talks the talk, but doesn't walk the walk. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving us a like. And if you didn't, consider giving us a dislike. So much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks, Amber, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And happy Christmas Eve Eve.
Happy Christmas Eve, Junior. Christmas Eve, Junior.
Yes.
That's what you had said.
That is what I had said.
So, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.